Hey, right, so this is the cam adjuster solenoid from a 3.2 litre Audi A3, and it's the BMJ engine code. Now I've got a problem with the two solenoids, one for the inlet cam, one for the exhaust. I don't know if this helps anyone. It might give you a bit of a clue as to what's going on with your engine if you've had issues like I've had issues. Really incredibly rough timing, or idle, should I say. Just absolutely undrivable. Um, so if you can see, it's a bit hard to do. Just give it some power. Hopefully you can see this sticks. So I'm just going to give it some power and power off. Power's off now. Wait. It should release back as usual. When you're trying to film something, it doesn't. Let's just give it some power again. So there's nothing happening. So when this was in the car, and I had this horrendous problem of idling, I tapped it on the electrical bit which sticks out the side of the timing cover, and there, it's just released. Very hard to see. Let's give it power again, you might just see it. There. Now it's releasing. Stuck again. And then it releases slowly. But it should come off straight away as soon as the power's removed. Still stuck. Still stuck. There we go, it's gone. It's a little gap. So it might give it a bit of an indication as to what's going on there for some people. But I have to strip everything. So it's a big job. It's not the best. But as you can see, it's a bit of a nightmare. So apparently also you get a problem with these. It's like shims. So like cam seals, there's 3 on each cam. So the exhaust and your inlet cam, and these wear, but they can also wear the housing that they sit in, which is this. And you can see those marks, the rings. 3 there as well. That's better, it's focused now. So those lighter patches aren't just polished. That's where those sit, those rings. Like piston rings almost, but obviously they're not. So the oil travels through these little ducts, and everyone complains about, oh, it's all blocked up and blah blah blah. Luckily this wasn't blocked, it was just down to the stupid solenoids. This one's completely kaput. Just not doing anything. So you never know. There is a little gauze here. Sometimes they're supposed to block up. I think it's non-return, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. But the gauze was clean. As you can see, there's a lot of carbon build-up, and yet oil's changed every 5,000 miles since I've had it. It's not long life oil. It's 530 fully synthetic. You still get this carbon. Depending on the people that have looked after it before, who knows. So yeah, so engine's gonna have to come out, gearbox, DSG box off, and replace the timing guides and chain guides and chains, top and bottom. I'm gonna get done. It is an expensive job to do. I wouldn't like to pay a garage to do it. I'm a mechanic, so you just crack on and get it done. But there aren't a lot of videos about the Audi engines. There's loads. Well, there's a few for the VW side of things. You know, I think there's a few people knocking them out for the Tuaregs and all that. The VW side, they're pretty much the same. But what I have found out with these engine codes, they differ, and the internals are different. Because I've got a couple of engines knocking about, and I thought, oh great, yeah, no problem. Let's check the VVT pulleys. I'll just swap them over. Can't, totally different. It's crazy. It's almost like it's this BMJ engine just seems to be it in its own entirety. I had a problem with the cam plate somewhere along its life. It's had a bump, or somebody stood on it maybe, because it did have chains in factory. It was on a recall, and they got done at 42,000 kindly by Audi, but they've gone again. And the problem I had, so I don't know if you can see, it's a bit hard to see, it's almost like somebody stood on it or drove over it maybe, because can you see that, the line here, which is where the original rocker cover gasket sat, and it goes off diagonally, and I couldn't work out how on earth the timing sensor, the cam sensor for the inlet had had the end shaved off it, which I thought, I found the problem, but I couldn't understand why. Then it led me to think, oh my god, the pulleys are falling apart. I've got cam float, and it's going from left to right inside the head. But it wasn't that. It was actually the cover, side plate cover, twisted or bent in. So when the cam sensor poked through this hole, the end had gone, because it was a lot closer than this side. I'd lost that air gap, or I'd lost the complete gap, because it took the top of the sensor off. This is obviously the exhaust side, but if you can imagine that, poof, gone. So, bit of an issue. So I got another one. It's only just arrived actually from Germany. Cheap, €40 including the postage. Exactly the right cover, everything. So I need to put all that back together. Fresh coolant, fresh oil, obviously. You've got to do engine flushes on these. A lot of people sort of rant, no, don't put an engine flush in, blah blah. Get a good quality one. Follow the instructions to the T. You shouldn't have any problems. Don't leave it in and then go off for a drive. It just doesn't work like that. But because of the carbon build up, can you see that releases? So I'm dreading doing an engine flush, but I need to do it. I've got to try and thin this out a bit, and then drop the oil. Fingers crossed. I'm going to take the sump off, clean the sump as well, just make sure the pickup's all nice and clean. It's so important, oiling these variable valve timing engines, and that goes for anything that's variable valve timing. Because you've got all these little ports that the oil's got to come through, and if you get chunks of crap blocking these up, that's it. You know, everything, you start struggling with everything. But these cam adjuster solenoids, they're renowned for failing. A lot of people say, oh, goo gets on these gauzes. They don't have gauzes on this engine. I believe on some of the 32s, the BUBs, they may have a gauze, but I've not taken any out, so I wouldn't know. But on this particular BMJ engine, no gauzes. These are factory, and they weren't changed apparently by Audi. Because I've checked that. Gave them my chassis number, the registration, asked when it had gone in, it had gone in, and they give you a breakdown of what was done. Whether it's just a generic breakdown, I don't know, but they say that they didn't change those, they were functioning. They did change the two pulleys, which is great, because that's like £1 grand and a bit, and a set of chains. but I've checked inside the pulleys actually, and they're all right. They're good. There's no big score marks. People complain about the pin inside the exhaust. The exhaust one wearing. That's not worn at all. I'll just slowly rotate it there for you. I don't know if you can see. That's not worn. That's absolutely fine. Another complaint is that the pin snaps for the cam, and that creates a problem. But that's fine. I was just going to show you these because, again, there doesn't seem to be any decent videos on these pulleys. Not for this, the BMJ engine. You see that the tolerances are so fine. So if you've got dirty oil flying around, you're not bothered. Great, carry on and use the car. But if you give a shit like I do, you've got to really keep clean oil in these engines, and I suppose that goes for all VVTi and all the rest of it. But yeah, so there we go. And they are so expensive. People are knocking them out second hand for 250 quid. There is a place in Poland actually that's doing them, and they're supplying this baby here that's got all the valves in the cam sort of housing, if you will, the oil housing. But they're pretty simple. How that's 700 and odd quid plus VAT from Audi, God only knows. I don't get it, but there you go. It's 2 seals, one either side. Obviously I've not split this side, so the steel's still there. And this is the other one. This is the inlet side. As you can see, seal's still there. Sorry, this is the exhaust side. That's where that pin sits and drops in. Now, you can see it's elongated, but it's not worn. It helps it drop in. And there's the small recess at the bottom. That's how the oil enters and pushes the pin up. But I've had a check of that, and if you can see the leading edge, very hard to explain, it isn't worn, ovaled, it isn't, just see, screwdriver or something just to show you guys. So that edge just there, supposed to be like that to help the pin as it comes back drop in, and that at the bottom, deeper little recess, that's how the oil fills and pushes the pin up once it gets its feed, and it can adjust, and then it drops back in. But it is supposed to be slightly elongated. That is not a problem, that's okay, and it's verified by the pin that I was showing you earlier. There's just not a mark on it, there's no wear edges, it's not chamfered, it's not worn. So if you didn't check it, you'd go out and buy these and you still have the same problem because you haven't checked the solenoid valves. That one and that thing there, and they are so common for breaking. It is quite worrying. But that's not just a problem with Audi, Volkswagen, whoever. That is just how it is. They do break. Lots of temperature, lots of oil contamination, and they just jam up. So, any questions I will try and answer. I work quite long hours, but I hope if there is anyone out there that are struggling along with their A3, and it's a BMJ engine, you know, open to criticism, whatever. So, yeah, just drop us a line if you're interested or whatever. And you never know, I might be able to help, and you may be able to help me. Okay, bye.